Madison Keys is out, ladies and gentlemen. That's the headline. And I'm your host, as always, Good Energy. This video is brought to you via the Doctrine of Fair Use, the Fair Dealing, and the Digital Millennium Act. That's right. Madison Keys is out. Now, what am I talking about? I am talking about the ATX Open. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We all know the WTA rule that I've been talking about for quite some time. That's right. Only one top 10 player can participate in a WTA 250 tournament. That's correct. There is one exception, and we'll talk about this a bit later when it comes to possibly Coco Gauff. But Madison Keys was removed from the ATX Open roster. Why? Because she's now ranked number 7 in the world, and the WTA has a rule. Only one top 10 player can participate in a WTA 250 event. Now, I've talked in the past how Dasha does not like this rule. She wants to play 250s, and I get the feeling that Dasha wants to win titles, right? She wants to win titles. So, well, why is that a problem? She's ranked number 7. She should probably be the top seed there, right? Wrong. Now, before winning the Australian Open, Madison Keys was enrolled to play at the ATX Open in Austin, Texas, United States. She was ranked 20th in the world. Well, now, since winning the Australian Open, she's ranked 7th. Her all-time career high, number 7. I say it all the time. If you follow the channel, Keys has spent a decade inside the top 10. Now, she's never gone higher than 7, though. The issue is Pegula, the world's ranked number 6, she's been as high as ranked number 3 on the world tour, is the number 1 seed there. She's also a top 10 player. So there cannot be 2 top 10 players in a WTA 250 event unless there's one exception, and this is where we talk about Coco. Potentially, if she wants to, well, actually, that won't apply because now she is not defending any championship in Auckland, but she defended her championship in Auckland 2 years in a row. And a lot of people, I received the comments where, how come Coco's playing Auckland? How come she's not in Brisbane? Listen, guys, for one, it's a great tradition for Americans. For two, she's defending her title, which is the exception for the rule, right? There can be multiple top 10 players in a WTA 250 event only if the exception is the defending champion is a top 10 player. So let's say Madison Keys won this championship last year, then she would not have been removed from the roster because she would have the right to defend her title and Pegula could still be the number 1 seed. Now, we know last year at the ATX Open, I've covered the ATX Open the last couple of years. Yu Yan from China, she defeated Lefty Wong, in the championship match. The second set went to a tiebreak. I called that. Now, Yan, she got really hot, right? We saw her make the semifinal in Hobart. And previously, in the 23 season, we saw Marta Kashuk win that title. That was her first main tour title, where she defeated Varvara Gracheva, who's now a resident of France. Bonjour, comment allez-vous? But we remember that drama, right? Where Marta did not want to take photos with Varvara. She didn't want to shake her hand. After winning the championship, of course, Varvara, I know Varvara, seeing her, she's just a classy woman. She's by far one of the more classier women on tour, ladies on tour. Varvara is a good person. And I think for her, declaring residency in France and becoming a citizen of France, it shows she's probably, and of course, she would have applied earlier than the start of that war, maybe or maybe not. I'm not sure what the term is. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's 3 to 5 years. So around that time frame. But you could tell that Varvara is a classy woman, right? And I just felt that whole situation with Marta and at the ATX Open, I covered it. Go find the video. It's on here somewhere. That was like disgusting, distasteful. And I understand a lot of the figures behind the scene, have advised these ladies not to shake hands. So it's not necessarily their decision, but I just felt how Marta went about it was, I don't know. But, again, like I said, you can't tell someone how to feel. You can't, there's a lot going on here. People, they're losing loved ones. And I just want this war to end. But nonetheless, yeah, that's the exception. So, right. So if you're a defending champion, that's the exception to the rule, where there would then potentially be 2 top 10 players in a WTA 250. We all remember a time where that wasn't the case. Now, how do I feel about that? I think it's a good idea, right? We need these players, and I'm on record. I think that the WTA has to put $10 million aside and give every player, number 1 through 100, at the end of the season, a $100,000 bonus. If you can work your way to being a top 100 player or less, you should receive a bonus. Why? Because, guys, there are thousands. Last time I checked, there's over 4,000 tennis players in the world, female tennis players, that are trying to break into this top 100. It's a big deal to be a top 100 ranked player, in my opinion. Now, yes, you're going to say, hey, Coco's the richest athlete in the world 2 years in a row. She's making millions of dollars. She has so much money. She literally invested like $15 million in the new Breanna Stewart Gibson League, 3-on-3 league. Coco invested. She's one of the top investors in that league. She doesn't need the money. We all know that. Coco's rich. She doesn't have any debt, like she would say. But I still think that there's got to be a threshold. Like, you can't say, and this is something that I suggested, so this is my thoughts. You can't say 20 through 100. You just make the top 100. Every lady in the top 100, Coco gets that money. She can give it to her coaches as a bonus, something like that. But I just think that 250 should be reserved for these ladies that are trying to break in the rankings. You're trying to earn game checks. You don't make a lot of money from winning 250s. You really don't. If you win the title, I mean, I don't know. Last I checked, it's I don't know, $25,000. But then you have facility fees, you have taxes. There's just so much going on where just fighting so hard to win a 250, you're not even going to make any money. You know what I mean? And the reality here is we can't have these elite players, because clearly when we're talking about top 10 players, there's a different level of skill, right? When we're getting down in the rankings, it's very, very, the discrepancy in skill, it's night and day, right? And now, not that a player that has a lower ranking can't beat a player with a higher ranking. That's not impossible. You know what I mean? But the skill level, the frequency of that happening, it's not good. So I think the 250s, it's got to be a more level playing field. It's got to be a better advantage. But I will say, if you notice a lot, the top seeds in the 250s, they never win it anyway. I mean, look at last year, Yu Yan was unseeded, right? She defeated Wong in the championship, so a lot of times you'll notice that number 1 seed doesn't win it anyways. So that's also interesting. But again, I think you have to make it a level playing field. You have to make it fair. So I agree with the rule. I mean, Madison Keys, she's not, the title of the video, she's out, but I don't think she cares, right? Now, in the sense that she won't be able to play another tournament in front of American fans, that might be a bummer to her. But after winning this slam and having the injury, in case you don't know, she withdrew from Doha along with Danielle Collins. It's a good time to rest and to heal and recover. So from that aspect, I don't think she really minds being taken off the roster. But what do you guys think? WTA 250s. Do you like the rule? Dasha doesn't like the rule. She wants to play more 250s. I think she wants to win titles because she's not making any money. She's a multimillionaire. She's not making money playing 250s. But again, it's probably her competitive spirit. What do you guys think? Do you like the rule or not? Okay, and again, the rule is simple. Only 1 top 10 player allowed into a WTA 250 event. Is that a good rule or not? The only exception is if the defending champion is also a top 10 player. And in that case, you can have 2 top 10 players performing in a WTA 250 event. Is the rule fair? Is it not? Again, I think it's a fair rule. And in fact, I think you could possibly get to the point, and you do need someone with star power to drive these tickets. So one top 10 player is a good rule. But what do you guys think? I mean, should there be more? Should there be none? I think one is good because you do need a star player that has that type of recognition, that's dominating, playing very well nationwide, worldwide, to really help fill the seats. Not necessarily, of course, ranking doesn't mean anything when it comes to popularity, but sometimes it's a good gauge, right? Because you take a look at these top 10 players currently, they're pretty well known. And why don't I pivot? Let's talk about top players. Now, what country do you think, I'm going to do a poll in the community. What country do you think is producing the best tennis players? Coco Gauff. Actually, I'm going to save that for another video. Why don't I do that, guys? Tennis in a minute. We'll be back. I'm your host, Good Energy. Maddie Patty is out of the ATX Open. Fair or not?